Hello friends, welcome back once again in the next lecture of the Swift series. So in today's lecture we will discuss about where clause. So friend, where clause we will use with the generics. So friend, we can use where clause with different ways. So first we will use the where clause with how we can use where clause with generic parameters and how we can use where clause with as a function parameter and how we can use where clause with associative type, and last we will use where clause with additional condition to switch statements. So let's begin. First we discuss where clause with generic parameters. So friend, it's a simple generic function we have used in my previous lectures. So this function we are just using for finding the index from array. If the value is found in array, then we are returning the index of the value. So it's a generic function. We can pass here a float type value, we can pass here string type value, so we can pass here integer type value. We can use different data types value in this function because this is a generic function. If you did not watch my previous lectures of the generics, I have given the link in the description box, so you can check my previous lectures of the generics. So in this lecture we will not do the detailed discussions of the generics. So in today's session we will discuss only about the where clause. So suppose this is a function, is a generic function, and suppose I am running this function and first check what is the result of this. Friend, this function is returning nil, and the nil is printing here because in this function we are passing two values. One is the value 5.6 and another the array. So we are using here of in as a argument. In of we are passing the value which we want to find, and in we are passing the array where we find the value. 5.6 is not exist in this array, so this value is not found, and this function is returning nil from here. So nil is printing here. Suppose I am using the second statement for the string because it is generic, so we can pass here string as well. So now I run again. Yeah, so this function is returning 1 because the mic is exist in this array at the index of 1. So if the value is found in this array, so the index of the value returning from this function. So 1 is returning because mic is exist at the index of 1. So now this function is without where. So how we can use where with this function? So suppose I am commenting this code and will use this function with the where. Suppose now I am commenting this code and again I am using this function and I am using here with where. So we will use where as a generic parameter here. Suppose I am adding here where. So where is a keyword in the Swift and we can use as a generic parameter here. So suppose I am copy this code and adding here, because this if condition is checking if the value is exist in array or not. So we can remove now this if condition here, and simply with the where we can check outside of the for loop. So now I have removed the if condition from here. So now I run this code and check this is working same as the above function or not. Yeah, so friend, you can check that the output is same, so we can use this function with the where or without where. So without where we need to add a if condition inside the for loop, but with the where we can ignore the if condition inside for loop. We can directly add where condition outside from the for loop. So in the for loop we can add where condition like this. So now move on to the second point. Now I am commenting this code and now move on to the second use of the where. So I have already added the code for this function as well. So due to the video length, I already added the code for this. Suppose I am uncommenting this code here and use here where as a function parameter. So this is the same function we are using here. So now we use this function as a function parameter. So in the previous function we are using it as a generic parameter, and here we will use it as a function parameter. So here function is the find index and we are using here type t, and with this type we are using equatable. So in my previous lectures I have already told about the equitable constant, because some operators was not working without this constant. So suppose I am removing this equitable here, then this equal operator will not work. Yeah, so this operator will not work without constant, so I am adding here equitable constant. So I have already created lectures on the constant also and given the link in the description. Suppose in this function we want to add the where on the function parameter. Suppose I am adding here equitable, so we can use this condition in last of the function. So suppose I am adding here where and this condition, and now I can remove it here and run it. Yeah, so you can check that the function is working same as the previous function was working, because we are adding condition at the end of the function. So find index is a function and we are adding here constant with where condition. So like this we can use as a function parameter. We are passing here double value and here I am passing a string type value. So here both values 4.6 and Kapil is exist in the array we are sending as a argument. So here 4.6 is exist at the index of 1 and Kapil is exist at the index of 2. So here 1 and 2 index is showing. So now I am commenting this code, and so move on to the next part, how we can use where with associative type. So friend, first I uncomment this code. So before watching this lecture we must be knowledge of the associative type, because the associative type we are using in this lecture, and a separate lecture also created on the associative type and given the link in the description box. So if you did not watch my lecture of the associative type, you can check now. So associative type we use in protocol for making a protocol as a generic. So with the help of the associative type we can make a protocol as a generic protocol, because protocol variable we can use in multiple classes. So here my type is just a type, we add a real type when we confirming the protocol. So test protocol we are confirming in class A is a int type and class B string. So this protocol we are confirming in two classes, and here we are adding two types. My type is here int type and here my type is string type. So it's a associated type, so we can use it like this. And here we added an extension of the protocol test protocol, and here we add another function print message, and with help of this print message we can call the message function we are using in class B string class and class A integer class. In both classes we are using message function and we are calling message function with print message. So I am creating here an object of a int type class and run this. Yeah, so friend, with help of this function print message, so integer type class print statement is executing here welcome in class int. So my class int is showing here because the object is we are using here int. So int is a object, we can use here int obj is a object of the integer type class. So it's just an object of the class. So suppose I am using here string type object. So now the both function will be executed. So here str we are using, but I changed name with str obj. So friend, we can check. So first I am calling here str obj print message with the string class object. So it's a string class object, and here welcome in my class string message is printing here. And second I am calling with the integer class object, and now welcome in class integer message is printing. So both message statement is working here. So suppose friend, I want to add a condition on the associative type with where, so we can use here like this. where my type is equal to int. Yeah, so now error message is showing because so in where condition we are using and declaring my type is equal to int, so we cannot assign my type is equal to string. So if we want to use a string, then integer type class will show in error message because we are assigning here a integer type. So now the integer class cannot use this protocol because we are using here string, but here I am using int. So we can use here like this. So it's an extension of the test protocol, and I want to add here where condition, so we can use here like this. So now this message will not work for the string object because here it's checking my type is equal to string. So it will work only for the string, but it will not work for the integer type. So I can comment it and run. So now it will work for the string. Yeah, so friend, you can check that welcome in my class string message is showing because the string type object can access print message. Print message is a function we are calling here. So if you want to add here integer, then integer type object can access it. So now the error message will show this object because this object cannot access it because here I am adding integer type. So I can comment it, and integer type class object can use it because my type is equal to int. Yeah, so friend, you can check here welcome in my class int is showing because we are using here int object, integer type class we are using here. So friend, main purpose is here how we use where clause with associative type. So my type is here associative type, and we are using where with my type. We can add here in the extension, or we can use where we are declaring associative type. So we can use it according to our requirement. So now I am commenting this code and move on to the next part, how we use where with switch statement. I am uncommenting this code also, and will use where with switch statement. So we are using here same protocol as we are using in our previous condition. So in this, the class A is a integer type, and here we are using the protocol test protocol, and here we are using my type is equal to int. So int type object can access this function, and here I am adding marks is equal to 95. Suppose I am running this code and check what is the output of it. Yeah, so friend, you can check that. First here I am creating an object of the string type class, and string type object is using print message. So print message is the function of the protocol extension. So print message is using a message. So the message is, so here we are using two classes. We can use a single class also. I am removing this class. So here purpose is only how we use where with switch statement. So suppose I am using here a single integer type class, and it's the object of the class, and with this object we are calling print message. So print message is a function here, and with this function we are calling a message function. A message is a function here in our integer class. So suppose I run this. So this switch statement is showing and printing a plus here. So a plus printing here because marks value is 95, and marks we are comparing with switch statement. So this case will be executed the marks between the 90 and 100. So this case is executed and printing here a plus. So suppose I am adding here 80 and run this code. Yeah, so now the B is printing because the value of the marks is now between 80 and 90. So suppose we want to add here in additional condition. Suppose I am adding here a where clause. So I am adding here where marks is, so I am adding here an additional condition with where when the marks is divided by 5 and remainder is equal to 0, then this statement will be executed. Otherwise this statement will not be executed. So suppose now I am adding here 94 and want to run this statement. Yeah, so friend, you can check that the 94 is between the 90 and 100. So according to 94, the print a plus should be printed here, but the second condition is not true here because marks 94 is not divisible by 5. So this condition is false. So it's going into the default case. So here the default case is printing a minus. So suppose I want to pass here 95. So now 95 is divisible by 5. So now a plus should be printed here. So friend, now you can check that marks is divisible by 5 and remainder is equal to 0. So now both condition is true. 95 is exist between 90 and 100 and other condition marks is divisible by 5 also. So a plus statement is executing here. So like this we can add any condition according to our requirement in the switch statement also, and we can use the where clause. So it's a different way. So like this we can use where clause with a switch statement. So we can use where clause with associative types, and we can use where clause with function parameter, and we can use where clause with generic parameters. So it's a different uses, so we can use according to our requirements. So friend, I hope this video will be informative and helpful. So please like, share and subscribe the channel. Thanks for the watching.